down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard. Week 1 NFL. We're back in the 2023 season. It's been a wait. Been a long wait, but we're back. And we have every game of the season predicted for you. Well, we don't have them all predicted yet, but we will do that. Smokey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm better than all the non-football fans right now because the season is about to start. We are so close. I can't wait.
That is a good opener.
Yes.
That is a really good week 1 opener.
Yeah.
I like that.
Absolutely.
That is good. You could have opened with Pittsburgh Maulers fans because you never got the chance to.
Oh yeah, that's right. We never got a chance to talk about that. That defeat.
Never a recap for
it
the
was a
USFL.
long shot though. I mean, and
It was.
full disclosure, I actually do have a Maulers t-shirt now. It's really weird though because it's not the black and gold. It's a white t-shirt with a red and blue label, which that wasn't even their logo
old?
last year. Yeah, someone sent
Okay.
it to me after I talked about it on the channel. But
Is it the old one? Like the really old? Like
maybe it is.
1980s?
Yeah, maybe the original because I haven't looked back to see what the original logo was. Maybe it wasn't that purple or whatever they went with the season before this last. But yeah, that may be what it is. It may be the old school logo.
They used to have like a red and blue
Okay, well that's it.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's gotta be it. Wow, that's cool. I don't have my Stallions t-shirt yet because it's surprisingly difficult to get in Europe, but I'm still looking, and I will get one once I do. I will get it for sure. But we're in the NFL now.
Yeah.
This is now the big leagues. We're gonna see some of these spring league players this year. Just a spoiler ahead, and I'm also just before we get into the predictions, I want to introduce one extra game for this season that we haven't done before, but we often talk about it, and sometimes there's like surprising moments there. So this game is going to be called Guess the Biggest Spread, and I don't think I have to explain what it means. Every week before we do our predictions, I will have you guess which game has the biggest spread.
Oh, okay.
And see if you can get it right. That's all. So if you're, I know you're not prepared for that right now, but if you want to, go ahead.
All right, I'm looking through the slate right now, and a lot of these games are actually looking really close. So I don't see any like runaways unless we are talking. It must be the very first game, the Chiefs and the Lions, right?
Okay. I'm not gonna tell you until we get to the game.
Okay. All right.
How about that? I'm not gonna tell you until we get to the game.
Yeah, a lot of these. Oh, maybe the Eagles and the Patriots. Yeah, I'm going to take back the Chiefs and the Lions and go with the Eagles and Patriots.
Eagles and Patriots. Yeah. All right. To be honest, if I'm being honest, I would not have gotten this right if I had to guess.
Oh wow!
I know the answer. I would have guessed wrong as well.
Oh okay. So it's not one of.
I would have guessed wrong.
Not one of
well.
the.
It's neither one of them.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see which one it is.
But you already did mention it. The first game, kickoff on Thursday night. Defending Super Bowl champions Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
How do we start?
Oh man, we start with a lot of excitement. That's what it is right there. You remember that there was that one season where they did not put the Super Bowl champions in the first game, and it was really weird. And what was it? The Bears and Packers, right? And it ended up being like a 9-3 game. It was super boring.
It was bad.
Yeah, we're not gonna have that here because both of these teams have phenomenal offenses and they can both score. And we should have a lot of excitement. However, one team is slightly overpowering the other just because they are the Super Bowl champions. They are the Chiefs. It is Patrick Mahomes versus Jared Goff. Need I say more? I mean, come on. The Chiefs are going to be taking this one at home. Unfortunately, I do like the Lions. I think they're going to have a decent season. But the Chiefs have got this one all the way.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lions will have a good year, I believe. I think they'll be better. I think they should... To me, they're the favorites to win the division. A division that is free of Aaron Rodgers, has the most overrated player in the league in Justin Fields, and then the Vikings are the Vikings, and they are probably crashing and burning sooner rather than later. I think the Lions are the more improved team, and I think they'll have a good year, probably make the playoffs. But I don't ever recall the Chiefs losing a season opener in the Patrick Mahomes era. I don't know if you do. I do not remember it ever happening. I think they win every single time, and I'm going to say they win again Thursday night at home. Panthers at your Falcons.
You know what? I remember even before Alex Smith left, they won the opener against the defending champions Patriots in like 2017 or 18, whenever that was.
Oh yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
They're good in the first game.
Yeah, they are. It's tough to beat them. That's why that should have been the biggest spread, in my opinion. But the Falcons and Panthers, both of these teams, probably a lot of people don't have a lot of high hopes for. I do, because I think the Falcons are going to progress throughout this season. This is a very young team, probably only rivaled in age by the Panthers, who are also a very young team. You got guys like Bryce Young and Jonathan Mingo out there that are going to be holding down the fort offensively, which means that they don't have the experience to get it done against a increasingly developing Falcons defense, which should be massively improved this year through Calais Campbell and Jesse Bates and Okuda out there. Dude, this is going to be a much improved Falcons defense, which leads me to be a homer right now. I think the Falcons win this one at home.
This is going to be a super important game, and usually we don't say this in week one, but this is going to set the tone in this division for both these teams for the whole year. This game will. And I will take the Falcons as well. In fact, I think I took them to win the division. I believe in them very much. If they hit on their young players, and I'm talking about the key roles, right? Desmond Ridder, Drake London, Bijan, and Kyle Pitts. If all these guys work out as they were projected to when they were drafted, this offense is going to be ferocious for a long time. Give it 2-3 years with those guys developing, it's going to be a great offense. It's going to rival the 2016 Atlanta Falcons, and they're going to looking pretty good in the division, because the other teams seem to be a little bit behind that in development. I don't know about the Saints, but the Panthers, of course, with the rookie. The Bucks seem to completely rebuild, so I like the Falcons' chances to win the division this year, definitely for the next few years. But gotta beat the Panthers first. Maybe this is Bryce Young coming out party. Maybe he's gonna drop 350. Who knows? But I'm gonna say Atlanta gets it done in this one. Bryce Young will have another coming out party at some point. Texans at the Ravens.
Wow, speaking of spread, this one should be pretty good spread, but you're saying it's not one that you would expect, so I'm guessing this is not it either. The Ravens should be back healthy. Everybody should be ready to go. Mark Andrews, Jackson, everybody should be healthy as far as I know. I haven't looked through the entire roster, but they should be back at full strength starting this game. The Texans, on the other hand, are experimenting with their rookie quarterback, so we'll see how that goes. I doubt, since we picked them to possibly be one of the 0-17 teams, they're probably not going to win this one right here. I'll be taking the Ravens at home.
I'm going to agree with you. It's not just that I want to play it safe and pick the home teams. I think the Ravens just are favored to win. This is the biggest spread. This is the only double-digit spread. 10-point favorite of the Baltimore Ravens. I wouldn't have expected this. I'd have given this like a 7-8 thing. If you'd have made me guess, I'd said the biggest spread would have been the Jaguars over Indianapolis. That's the one I would have picked. But they're not. Ravens are the biggest favorite at home. Texans, a lot of question marks. First year head coach, first year, defensive sort of leader of the team, Will Anderson, knee deep in a rebuild, and first time to see how's it looking. It's too early to pick them. As a fan, you have a reason to be maybe at least a little bit excited, but from an objective point of view, we need to see where it goes. The Ravens are the established team, so they are winning week one. Safe picks. Bengals at the Browns.
Yeah, I think this one's going to come down to how healthy is Joe Burrow after having that. Was it a calf or a hamstring or whatever it was?
He has some lower leg thing.
Yeah, exactly. If he's ready to go, which I'm sure he'll be out there, I have a feeling that even if he's not 100% that he's going to be out there and playing because he's that type of player, he will be on the field if at all possible. Does that affect his play is the question. On the other side, the Browns are steadily developing. They had a very rocky end of the season last year when Deshaun Watson took over. It got pretty bleak, but I do think having a whole season or a whole off season to practice with the team, which he did not have last year because of the suspension and whatnot, I think he's probably going to click with this team. That can be an amazing offense. They have the names out there. They have Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper. They have phenomenal rookies and second-year wide receivers out there also. This team could be much, much improved. But however, the Bengals have one of the most high-powered offenses in the entire league. Makes me real scared to pick the Browns right now. I do think they progress as the season moves along, but for right now, I will be picking the Bengals on the road.
Yeah, this is also where I'm straying away from my home teams. Of course, it's a little bit scary with Joe Burrow. You don't know how far he is. And the Bengals only, in air quotes, are 2.5 point favorites at the moment as it stands, which seems extremely low. If you put them 100% health Joe Burrow, you give them probably 5-6 points even at Cleveland for the season opener. I would certainly bet on them, which I'm going to refrain from doing probably on all games this week because it's just too much of a gamble week one. You just don't know what's happening. But Bengals, to me, take the established team, take the favorite. It's a safe pick. I'm going to make some out there picks later down the line. So if you're watching and you're thinking we're all picking all the established teams and we're all picking the same, probably not going to happen. But for this one, yeah, give me Cincy. They're a good roster. Jacksonville at the Colts.
Yeah, well, I can't stray too far from it right now because I picked this team to win the division. I picked Trevor Lawrence to win the MVP, and I picked Doug Peterson to win Coach of the Year, so they have to get off to a very strong start. I believe that Trevor Lawrence is that guy. He is the Peyton Manning. He is the Andrew Luck. He's going to prove it. Let's let Urban Meyer go. Everybody wants to point out that season. That was a horrible coaching decision and a horribly coached team, and it almost ruined the guy, but we saw last year under a real coach like Doug Peterson, we can get this guy back on track, and he is going to be phenomenal. The Colts are bad. They are trying out their rookie quarterback also, which is probably not going to work out well. The guy just can't pass the ball, unfortunately. Maybe they can teach him to pass the ball. Probably not in his first season, I'll tell you that. He may do a little bit of running, and it's going to be hard for those defenders to catch the guy, and he will run over defenders also because he's just that big and strong. He is a monster, but he doesn't have the abilities. He's not refined enough to beat a team like the Jags. In week one, I'm taking the Jags on the road.
Absolutely. I think I made my opinion on this pretty clear earlier when I said I thought this was the biggest spread. It's not. If I had to bet on the game, I'd take the Jaguars here, -5 at Indy. I think the Colts are pretty bad. They're one of my candidates, spoilers for the other video, to go 0-17 actually. They have some big names on defense now, but they are one of my bigger candidates to actually go 0-17, along with the Arizona Cardinals. So Jacksonville to win this one handily. Bucks at the Vikings.
Yeah, two teams that I really don't know what to make of. The Vikings are basically, outside of a tight end or so, the same offense that was there last season. But just looking at the record, if you look at them on paper and you go, wow, they had a ton of wins. But if you actually watch them, especially at the very end of the season and into the playoffs, this team was bad. This team was really bad. No Dalvin Cook now. And we'll see what Alexander Madison has to offer. He's never proven himself to be a sufficient running back, and we know that Kirk Cousins needs a dynamic running back out there to win. But on the other side, the Bucks are maybe a dumpster fire. We don't know if Baker's going to put it together. He hasn't thus far in his career. He would have to have a Geno type season for this team to be salvaged into doing anything, maybe even making the playoffs if he has a Geno type season. I doubt it. It looks bleak for them. They're probably wishing Tom Brady was back, but they kind of sold their future for Tom Brady also. Vikings, I will take the Vikings at home. I think they can get it done.
All right, this is where I'm going to make the first stand, right? The first upset pick to put me right behind the 8 ball to kick off the season, but apparently that is what I do. I'll take the Bucs. I'll take the Bucs on this. If for no other reason than to underline my argument that the Vikings are extremely overrated. They came into last season extremely overrated, and they fluked their way throughout the entire regular season, going 13-4, when they just as well, with a couple different flips of the coin, could have ended up with 5-6 wins on the same exact season with their same exact performance, and they lost in pretty embarrassing fashion to the Giants in the playoffs as soon as they ran into it, even a capable team, and it felt like everyone knew it was happening too. Right? You remember this? We had the Giants Vikings, and everyone knew the Giants were going to win this one. Like, yeah, this just feels like we know exactly what's happening, because intuitively we all knew the Vikings were a fraud. And I think they're even more fraudy coming into this year. Right? Justin Jefferson's a superstar.
Yeah.
But you said, no more, reliable go-to running game. I think this team is going to regress to being the 8-8 or 8-9 team that they truly are meant to be. And it starts with a little bit of an upset. Bucs get one over the Vikings. Even though I think at the end of the day the Vikings will have the better record, this one's going to be the Bucs. Titans at the Saints.
Yeah, let's see what DeMeco Ryans has here. I doubt a lot to begin the season because just like a lot of other teams, they are trying out their rookie quarterback in the first game here. Those things usually don't work out very well. There's a few bright spots on the Texans, but I think Pierce...
We're at the Titans. We are at the Titans.
Dang it, I did that. I did that like 5 times last year. I wrote down the Texans. Once again, hold on. Let me rework this entire analysis.
2 forgettable teams in the same division.
Dude, I did, like, there was probably at least 4 or 5 times I did that last season. The Titans are playing the Saints. This makes much more sense.
Yeah.
Because the Texans are already playing the Ravens.
Yeah, they're in a different game at the same time.
Yeah. I just let that one go completely over my head. All right. So the Titans, they still have Derrick Henry, so Mike Vrabel has something to roll out onto the field. I might actually change my pick now. A lot of people are excited about Derek Carr coming to the Saints because they think this division is completely up for grabs. And I've seen a lot of analysts who are actually picking the winner of this division to still go under 500 again. And I would like to point out that those types of patterns, those things don't happen year after year. These divisions that go really under 500, they tend to regress to the mean the next season. So there is a very small chance that the winner of this division actually goes under 500, but a lot of people are picking the Saints to be that team that goes 500 and wins the division. I don't see it happening. I am actually changing my pick because I was sure that the Saints could beat the Texans, but I'm not sure that they can beat the Titans with Derek Carr. Although, I mean, the Titans quarterback is not, and their situation is not that much better. I will put it in the hands of Derrick Henry, probably on his final productive season. I'm taking the Titans on the road.
This is the hardest game for me to pick of this whole slate for this week. I think this is truly a toss-up, and I'm going with the Saints purely for the reason they're at home. And the Titans are a volatile team. The Saints are a volatile team. Derek Carr is the kind of quarterback that, wins games against bad teams and loses games against good teams. Titans are maybe more the bad team or more like disorganized team, I guess is the better word. Spectrum of things this year. So this seems like the kind of game the Saints win en route, which I agree with you fully, to go 500, which they seem destined to do. So Saints open at home and they win. Niners at the Steelers.
I might go outside of the favorite. I don't know what the odds are in this game, but I'm assuming it's in favor of the 49ers.
2.5 points on the road.
Yeah, we all know that Shanahan knows how to win no matter who the quarterback is. And having George Kittle healthy, I think I saw a blurb that actually said he should be ready to go for week 1. Plus Debo, plus Ayuk, and plus Christian McCaffrey. Dang, you could throw any quarterback out there. You could bring Mariota out there, and this team's gonna win at least 10 games. But I don't know. I have a feeling. I might be burning this pick right here. But I feel so good about the Steelers and their opportunity this season to drastically improve and win this division in the end that I am going to go with the Steelers, and I'm pretty sure you're picking the 49ers because anybody with a sound mind should be picking the 49ers, but I will not. Steelers at home.
Yeah, I'll take the Niners, that's true. I'll give you, I can respect the Steelers pick though. I think a lot of people, including me, would pick the Steelers against most teams, including most teams that they are not necessarily favored against. If you gave me Steelers Ravens, I would take the Steelers 100%. Steelers Dolphins, maybe even Bills, I'd probably take the Steelers to open the season because it seems to fit the momentum and the hype and the hype wave, right? The Steelers are probably going to overachieve this year. I agree with that. I agree with that notion. I think they're going to be good. They'll have a winning season, but what about Brock Purdy is not just any quarterback. He's a reigning, defending, undisputed starting quarterback. And you counted down the offensive firepower. And also just minutes before we started recording this video, the news broke that the Niners have signed Nick Bosa to a massive contract extension. So if he can get himself in football shape in 4 days, he'll play. And I'm assuming he will. He wasn't practicing, of course, due to the holdout. But I think he'll be ready to go. And I'll take the Niners. Also, as a homer team, of course, I can't really pick them to lose. Even though they opened the season, if you remember this, last year they opened the season with a loss to the Bears, who would eventually go on to have the worst record in football. So they're liable to losing these kinds of games, but I'm gonna say they don't. Cardinals at the Commandskins.
If the Cardinals have a chance at beating any teams, there's only like 4 or 5 of them in the entire league. This happens to be one of them. I was going through the scenario in my mind. Where can the Commanders actually hit the Cardinals that really they bleed points through? And it's usually at the tight end. That defense has been historically bad for at least 5-6 years at covering the tight end. Unfortunately, Sam Howell will be throwing to Logan Thomas, and we don't know if Logan Thomas still has anything left in him. Last season was completely horrible. And Sam Howell, although he is a mobile quarterback, he is completely unproven in being able to make long, even multiple passes in games. We have no idea how he's going to play. I think he's going to run around a lot. I think it may resemble a lot of what you see with the Colts. In that situation, he's not quite the Cam Newton prototype or anything, but he is very mobile, so that's going to be where they attack the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are just bad enough, so therefore I have to take the Commanders at home.
Yeah, so obviously if you've seen the previous video, I made the bold prediction that there's going to be an 0-17 team this season, and I named the Cardinals as my prime candidate, so until further notice, I will not be picking the Cardinals to win a game. I guess that's pretty clear. It doesn't really matter who it is. They have to lose to everyone if they want to go 0-17 anyway. So even though Washington's by no means a good team at all, probably the most unknown and questionable starting quarterback in the league is Sam Howell. No one really has seen any of him. No one knows what he's capable of or what he's not capable of. But they're going to win because they're playing the most dysfunctional team in the history of the NFL and the Cardinals, and probably in present-day NFL as well. So, Commanders win. Packers at the Bears. Classic.
Yeah, this is the classic. The oldest rivalry in the entire NFL. Hopefully it's not that 2018 or 19 barn burner of 9-3. Yeah, let's not get another one of those. I have a lot of hopes for both of these quarterbacks to break out this season. And I'm starting to I did not feel good about AJ Love at all. I didn't get him mixed. What did I say? Jordan Love. I was thinking of AJ, the running back. I said that, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. Okay. But Jordan Love, and then I was afraid I was going to get him mixed up with Josh Love. But yeah, Jordan Love, I think he's going to have a breakout season, or at least I'm kind of hoping he will, especially for a lot of fantasy assets. It could happen. He has a decent offense around him, although they are young. A lot of young pass catchers. The number 1 tight end is a rookie. Their number 3 receiver is a rookie. Their number 1 and number 2 receivers are both on their second season. Jordan Love has never started a season before. Only started maybe a couple games in his entire career. We'll see how that plays out. The Bears should continue to improve. They finally have some receiving weapons around Justin Fields, and especially DJ Moore, who is an elite wide receiver in the NFL. This is a very tough one. These two teams probably should... maybe 3 points to the home team. If anything, I'll give the 3 points. I'll take the Bears at home.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Because, of course, the Packers should be in shambles. I believe they're not going to have a winning record. I've said it for years. Once, Aaron Rodgers is going to leave, it's going to be a rude awakening. Unless Jordan Love turns out to be very, very good quarterback right from the start, this is going to be a setback for this team. They're going to miss the playoffs. But then again, I feel similarly about the Bears, and I think Justin Fields is quite overrated. I don't really know what to make of the team. So this is another difficult one to pick. Used to be easy to pick the Packers to win every divisional game all the time because they just run over people. But this one's difficult, and I think I'm going to go home team. I'll pick the Bears, give them the point. Technically, they are favored. They're favored by 1 point. But if you adjust it for the three points for the home field, actually the Packers are slightly favored against the spread. But I'll take the Bears purely for home field, and maybe the individual performance of Justin Fields, if he does that enough. He has this habit of having 4 or 5 really, really good plays. So if you look at highlight tapes, the game highlights they show on NFL Red Zone, when one game is in a timeout, he always looks like a superstar in those, right? But if you look at every snap for the whole game, it tells a very different story. But I'll say he gets it done. I'll say the Bears get it done, probably on the backs of their defense against the Packers offense that has to reinvent itself. Raiders at the Broncos.
Another tough one here, but the Broncos actually fit a certain trend that I like to point out that one team achieves every single year. That happens to be that the Broncos are this year's post-hype sleepers, which means I expect them to have a much better season now that no one else does, and they should be making the playoffs. They're not going to make it to the Super Bowl because the post-hype sleeper never makes the Super Bowl. However, they do tend to go deep into the playoffs, and that's what I expect out of the Broncos this year. I expect them to get much better. Russell should be back to his old self. Sean Payton should whip this team into shape. The Raiders, on the other hand, we do not know what they're going to look like with Jimmy G out there. And other than that, we got Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, which Josh Jacobs for the entire offseason was pretending he wasn't even going to play this year unless he got his deal. He got a slightly better deal than what he had. Same thing with Saquon. He did the Saquon thing, but I don't know. I'm picking the Broncos here at home because they are the post-hype sleepers.
Okay, this post-hype sleeper thing, I don't think it should apply to teams that have already that are already over the limit that they're supposed to have been at before they were good. So the Broncos were hyped up with the Russell Wilson trade. But usually what happens with the post-hype sleepers when they're kind of legitimate is that, okay, they get hyped up, it turns out it doesn't work, and they change what they're doing somehow, and they're kind of reinventing themselves. And then, the new wave comes up, maybe this time it can happen. But they're doubling down on Russell Wilson. They're sticking with the same thing. They traded away their best defensive player in the middle of last season. I recall them drafting a lot of receivers over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I don't recall a lot of them doing a whole lot in the NFL so far. I don't know what's up with that, but this is nothing special about this team to me at all. Like, Sean Payton, cool. Is he going to turn this team around? He's not an innovative coach. He's a coach that had decent success with the Hall of Fame quarterback and a great defense for a decade and a half. But is he the kind of coach to turn a team around? Doug Peterson, I don't believe he is. And if it really was just a blip on the radar for Russell Wilson and he's back to who he was, yeah, the Broncos will be good. But it didn't look like that. He didn't look comfortable in the offense. He didn't look like he knew what he was really doing. So I don't have a reason to really believe in the Broncos much. I don't have a reason to believe in the Raiders much, except for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Because even though he's not really a much better quarterback than Derek Carr, he just seems to be more consistent and win games. And that's why I'm putting the Raiders over the Broncos. That's the only reason, I think, is Garoppolo. And they should be winning against below average teams because they're probably going 500, which the Raiders should always do every season ever if it was up to me. So Raiders beat the Broncos. I don't believe the Broncos thing. I don't see it. I don't see them competing. Just don't get it. Dolphins at the Chargers.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see. We'll see, but I believe they will. And look out for Jerry Jeudy as a breakout in fantasy this year. The Dolphins and the Chargers, this is another super hard one to pick right here. Because I absolutely believe in Tua, and I absolutely believe in the Dolphins. Those receiving weapons are amazing. On the other hand, the Chargers are not far behind. And they have an equivalent quarterback, one that has actually stayed healthier throughout his career than Tua. Justin Herbert is on that level with Tua. When these guys are both healthy and both playing their A game, they are both super elite. They are right up there, and you could mention them in the vein with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, those guys, because when they're on top of their game, they are that good. Absolutely. This is so hard. Eli Apple has a bounty on his head by his girlfriend, if you haven't heard that. And that's a really weird situation. She's actually putting out on social media that she will pay the fines for anyone who injures Eli Apple in a game. Which makes me wonder what her punishment is going to be if that actually someone takes her up on that. But
I feel like that's enough to post to potentially face charges.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah. But here I think I'm going to call this one a toss-up and give 3 points to the home team. I'll take the Chargers.
It's a hard one to pick. I will also, for the similar reason, pick the Chargers. Also, if you remember, I picked Justin Herbert as my MVP. I think he's going to click with Kellen Moore. Both of these teams are going to be good. I think both these teams can win 10 plus games. And both these teams can make waves come January and it's playoff time. Chargers are at home. Justin Herbert has had another year to develop. I think he's going to be the MVP this year. There's nothing I can really pick at with the Dolphins saying, they're like completely inferior. No, the Dolphins are great. They can hang 35 on anyone on the right day. But I'm going to give it to the Chargers offense being a little bit more consistent, making that one extra drive count that the Dolphins won't because it's all a bit younger, a bit newer. So Chargers get it done. But this is going to be a great game, by the way. This might be the best game of this day, of this whole weekend. I think this is a great time slot as well. I'm looking forward to this one. Eagles at the Patriots.
Yeah, there's not much reason to not pick the Eagles here, but I was just thinking about the Patriots, and I remember them cutting all of their quarterbacks except for Mac Jones, so I had to look up their depth chart here, and I remember now that they actually signed Matt Corral to be their backup quarterback, and I would not be surprised if he does the same thing as Sam Darnold and ends up as their starting quarterback before the end of the season. I actually have faith in Matt Corral. Obviously the Panthers did not, but I do. I think the guy is a pretty decent player, and he may actually overtake Mac Jones this season. Other than that, they cut all their running backs also and signed Ezekiel Elliott to back up Ramondre Stevenson. they usually like to have 4 to 5 running backs. I don't know what they are thinking not going with that this year. I have faith in Juju out at wide receiver. Devontae Parker, some seasons he's good and some seasons he's not. They have an okay offense if they hit the right note with the right quarterback, which I don't think Mac Jones is going to do. We know how good the Eagles are. I don't expect them to be quite as good as last season, but they are good enough to beat the Patriots here on the road.
See, a lot of people are going to pick the Eagles to be very, very successful this year. I think they'll win the division by not a lot, but they'll win it. I think that they have gotten objectively worse since last year. They've lost, for example, Javon Hargrave is one of the big contributors on the defensive line that made that pass rush what it was. But also, I think a lot of people just take for granted that Jalen Hurts will have another season like he did. And I think for the type of quarterback he is, that historically we have seen is not very likely at all. You don't see that from these like run heavy or run reliant quarterbacks a whole lot, because when the run game kind of gets taken away and it gets people figure those things out, those scrambling tendencies of those quarterbacks happens every time. Those get taken away. The passing game suffers because they basically have their legs as an extra check down, right? So if they don't have that anymore, start making worse decisions in the passing game. And someone like Daniel Jones could suffer from the exact same thing this year. We've seen a lot of like not run first, but run heavy quarterbacks who bail themselves out with their legs, go through that. And someone like a Russell Wilson who transitions into actually going beyond that and becoming a stable sort of pocket passing quarterback who can still do it like the traditional way is kind of the rarity. It doesn't happen in most cases. So assuming that Jalen Hurts is going to be an MVP candidate and is going to like run over everyone, I don't think so. I think you got to expect him to be a good quarterback who is going to have his ups and is going to have more downs, and probably less of the spectacular ups this year than he did last year. So you have to find other ways to win. You have to be consistent. I'm saying all of that to say that I'm still picking the Eagles to win this game, right? Because they're just a much more talented roster than the Patriots have. Though, I will say, and this is something I rarely say, I think I've only said it once in my life before, ever, I'm rooting for the Patriots to win this game. The one other time I've said that was obviously in the Super Bowl against Seattle, which was still one of my favorite memories of all time. But I'm rooting for the Patriots to win this game. So the whole like NFL crowd universe kind of gets a little bit more grounded on what I think the Eagles are, what their season will be. They'll be good. They'll be really good. But they're not going to run over everyone. And also, I just want to see Mac Jones do well. You know, he's still gotten so much hate. I don't understand why. He's a perfectly serviceable quarterback. And just because, like, everyone wanted Trey Lance or Justin Fields. So Mac Jones is better than Trey Lance, and he's probably better than Justin Fields, or at least more consistent. I don't know. I don't know. Like, Mac Jones didn't just have the worst record in football. Yeah, no, Justin Fields' highlights look better. Like, if you compared 5 plays every game, yeah, Justin Fields looks like the MVP. But if you compare every snap they've taken as pros, I don't know if I like Justin Fields better. Trevor Lawrence, of course. Mac Jones might be the second best quarterback in that class. And people still think he was picked high because he's not like a runner. He's not a Josh Allen. Yeah. He's not a Lamar Jackson. So, weird underdog story because I'm not supposed to like the Patriots, nor is anyone, but I'm kind of rooting for them here. Still picking the Eagles, though, because they're a better roster. Rams at Seattle.
That is crazy that amongst those 2 games, we have 3 Alabama quarterbacks who all played on the same team together. Yeah, crazy. The Rams and the Seahawks. I do think Geno comes back. Like, people are kind of over glorifying what Geno did last year. Yes, he was serviceable, and the team made the playoffs. He was not doing what Jalen Hurts did last season. He was not killing defenses. He was in a system that allowed him to win some games and make the playoffs. That's all Geno did. And it was good compared to what Geno did in the past with the Jets. but he's going to come back to reality this season. And I still think the Seahawks are going to be very serviceable. They're going to make the playoffs because that's what Pete Carroll does. He figures out how to set up the team to make the playoffs. They're never great, except for a couple of times where Russell Wilson, when they made the Super Bowl, as you alluded to. But Geno is going to get worse. The Rams, on the other hand, are depleted without Cooper Kupp. What does Stafford go to? I guess he's going to be throwing to Skoranek again. That receiving core is just dead. Maybe Van Jefferson gets some work, but I know how he loves to drop balls. Let's see what Cam Akers does now that he should be fully back and fully healthy. We'll see. But as for right now, I'm taking the Seahawks at home.
This is a very early meteor game for me in the season in week 1. And I said earlier that I think Seattle is sort of the only real threat to the division, to the Niners. I don't think the Cardinals are, and I don't think anyone thinks they are. And the Rams, on paper, they still have a lot of the contributors from the years that they were good. But it doesn't seem like they're really in a winning position. It feels like it's kind of falling apart. It's definitely looked that way last year. All their big contributors haven't been able to through injuries. Aaron Donald has missed time. Cooper Kupp has obviously missed a lot of time. Matthew Stafford has missed time. So you're banking on all of these coming back. Bobby Wagner is now back in Seattle, by the way, to rub it in a little bit extra. Mm-hmm. I'll take the Seattle Seahawks to win this one. I think Geno is going to be worse than he is last year. For the record, I don't believe Seattle wins 10 games. 8-9 games because of the bad division. Geno is not going to be that top 5 quarterback for the. Listen, I like him, right? I want to root for Geno. It sucks that he has to be on Seattle because it makes it impossible for me to root for him. But he's not going to repeat that. He's not going to do that consistently. He might be fine. Might be better than we thought at the end of the day, but he's not going to be that good again. So Seattle wins, but not by any kind of impressive margin, not an impressive way. Mm-hmm. Cowboys at the Giants.
Yeah, Geno is just Teddy Bridgewater version 2.0. That's all that is. Yeah, as per your bold prediction, the Cowboys are going to miss the playoffs, and the Giants are obviously going to make the playoffs. We have talked up the Giants because the Giants have gotten better and better with Brian Daboll there, and I expect them to continue that rise. And I even picked them to win this division over the Eagles. It's going to be tough, but I think they can do it. The Cowboys do not impress me at this point. CeeDee Lamb is impressive as a wide receiver, but he's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. He is a really good receiver, and Dak does no longer impress me. And we have not seen if Tony Pollard can actually hold up being the RB1 at this point. With Zeke gone, they don't have that hammer just to burst through. We're going to see if Tony Pollard can hold up and if he makes it the entire season there. Not impressed by the Cowboys. I am impressed by the Giants. I will be taking the Giants at home.
I mean, my hands are tied with this pick, right? I said in my bold prediction video, Cowboys will make the playoffs because the Giants will beat them. And this is primetime spot, which the Cowboys have no business being in, obviously, but they'll put them there anyway. Giants beat the Cowboys, and they beat them bad. I'm talking like 27-10 or 27-7 kind of blowout. with the whole country, the whole world watching. The Giants put one on the Cowboys. Brian Daboll has this team running, and the Cowboys are stagnant. The division's getting better, and they're falling behind. I guess I'm kind of just speaking what I want to happen, but I can see it. I can see it realistically happening, and that would be a great thing to wake up to, because I'm probably not watching this game live. It's 2 a.m. for me, so that would be a great thing to wake up to and watch in the morning. And I really hope that happens. And then we have, I set the Dolphins and Chargers were the best game of the week. this is, of course, the highlight that was intentionally slated on Monday night. Bills and the Jets.
Yeah, and that is the exact reason they are on Monday night, because the Bills, as we know, one of the best 3 to 4 teams in the entire league. Many seasons, the second best team in the entire league. Unfortunately, the Chiefs happen to be in the AFC, keeps them out of the Super Bowl every year. But the Bills are just that good because Josh Allen is just that good. Probably the second best quarterback in the entire league. Unless you count this old timer that happens to play for the Jets now, who actually stole a couple MVPs from Josh Allen along the way. This is the new upper echelon guy versus the old school upper echelon guy. And I guess Aaron Rodgers is the oldest quarterback left in the league at this point, including backups, I would imagine. All of the other old timers have hit the road at this point. Aaron Rodgers is now the new Tom Brady, who's going to be hanging on for a few years, hopefully. He said he's not going to play to 45 like Brady, but we'll see how that plays out. He's probably hitting 40 right about now. Are the Jets really going to be instantly great with Aaron Rodgers? A lot of people think so. I can't just make that leap of faith yet. I want to see how this team looks with their new receivers, with Aaron Rodgers, with the two. Dalvin Cook is there, man. They are set up to win. They really are. And Breece Hall is going to be great if he gets a ton of playing time or if they ease him back in slowly. This team has a dynamic offense. I know it, but the Bills are the Bills. They are the juggernauts of that division. And I will stick with the Bills on the road.
I've thought about this game for a long time. And I mean, we've known this would be opening night for many weeks now. This is incredibly difficult to pick. And honestly, I'm kind of making up my mind on the spot. Even though I've thought about it for weeks, I'm probably drawing the winner out of a hat right now. The Jets went 7-10 last year with the worst quarterback situation in the league. The Bills obviously are a stacked roster top to bottom, Super Bowl contender, and they have Josh Allen, who's a top 3 quarterback in the league. Now the Jets also have a top 3 quarterback in the league, arguably, if he's healthy. Man, that's tough.
It's very tough.
This is a very tough one. You know what? I'll take the Jets.
All right.
I'll take the Jets. I'm gonna say it's the home opener. It's at New York, biggest stage, Aaron Rodgers. The Bills are a younger team. Josh Allen's a younger player. Maybe he'll slip. He doesn't even have to slip. It could be a great game. It could be a 37-34 instant classic. All possible. I think the Jets roster is very, very strong. I think it might be one of the strongest rosters in the league. The only reason we didn't really see it last year was because of that quarterback situation really holding them back. You had Aaron Rodgers there. He does not have to be the Aaron Rodgers he was in Green Bay. He doesn't have to be the runaway MVP of the league for this team to win and to win playoff games. He just has to be average Aaron Rodgers, which is like a very weird thing to say, but that's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. And if he can do that, that's fine, because just like how Tom Brady was just average Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, and it was enough. Similar thing happens here because it's a very strong roster. Probably the best team he's ever been on. And if he can get back to like 80, 70, 80% of what he has been, and you know, he still has the interest to play, which last year he did not seem interested in playing, and it showed on the field. The Jets are going to be hard to beat. They're going to be a top team in the AFC. So I'm going to buy the hype a little bit. I'm going to buy the show a little bit, and I'm going to give this one to the Jets. But I couldn't really imagine a better way to open the season than with the Buffalo Bills, because this is a prospective AFC Championship game, and we're going to see it in Week 1 on Monday night. So can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely.
That's all the games. That's all the games for Week 1. We had a couple of disagreements, couple interesting ones.
Yeah, 4 total.
4 total, okay. As always, as every year, we are going to tally up our predictions over all 18 weeks and see if, number one, we can beat way over 50% of the correct picks. Hopefully we will be able to. And also, if we're going to end up tying or come very close to tying again, which we seem to be doing every year.
Yeah, I think every season we've done this, we have fallen somewhere between 60 and 70%.
60 and 70, those are good numbers. And I think we had like in the spring leagues we were like kind of aiming for the 75% mark because there's fewer games, right?
Yes.
So fewer weird things that can happen to you. In the NFL, you know, there's always a handful of weird things will happen, so you can never predict. So entirely possible. If we can get 60, 65, 70%, that's very, very strong. I wonder if it's ever going to be like a more clear result though, because if we look at these predictions they do on TV, like the 6-7 weeks in, they'll have like one guy have twice the points as the other guy, and I don't know how they do it because we're always almost even, like we're within 5 points of each other every time at the end of the season,
and most seasons we actually tie down to the exact number
straight up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We'll see how it goes. But that's all our picks. Let us know yours in the comments. And Smokey, what can we expect in the fantasy direction this season?
Oh, man. I really want to put out the show. I have just been so strapped for time that I can't promise it. But if I do have the time, I'm going to put it out. Even if I miss week 1, I will try to get back in line for week 2. But I am still hoping at this point in time, I know we're only like 24 hours away from game 1, but I will do my best to get out the hurry-up offense.
All right. Maybe you can make it happen before Sunday, then that's fine as well.
Yeah,
but
we could cover the Sunday slate.
Yeah, but either way, for the fantasy heads, go on Twitter and follow Smokey there, because there's always time for that, and I know you all have a lot of good fantasy takes on Twitter, so
absolutely.
That's where you can pick up some tidbits of advice here and there as well, a little bit of wisdom in the fantasy direction, and let us know your picks and what do you expect of this 2023 season. Maybe bold predictions. If you've seen the old video, maybe you're inspired by that, and we have a good idea. Let us know in the comments, drop us a like, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard, check.